Good morning. Good morning. Glad to see everybody. Glad to be seen. I'm Reverend Shawn, for anybody who might not know me. Who has not gotten to be here on Sunday? I am a professional. I teach this in class, believe it or not, my technique. Has anybody not been here with me before? Hi, welcome. I'm Shawn. Oh, hey. Hey. Yay. You're going to have a good time. Because that's what we do. We have a good time here. Yeah, I went to church and had a bad time. Can you imagine? Wouldn't it be sad? Oh, it was bad church. I wouldn't care for that. So, Leo Denal, thank you so much. I was hoping you hit a high note because that was good. I so admire when those notes come out of people. That they go within and they say yes, and then that yes comes out to everyone. It's part of our God process where we're saying yes right now. And it's always right now. This talk is about moments, one at a time. And I thought I would read something to us all today. And it's from the old Unity teacher, Mary Kupferle. Anybody know Mary? Yeah, she's written stuff. You can go online and find some of her stuff. I have never met her. But she wrote an article called God is Healing You Now. When? Now. So you get it now. So it starts with God is healing you now. It is occurring at this very moment, whether you know it or not. I'm going to interrupt here in different places. What I love about the New Thought teachings is I have come to trust that what I call God, what I call principle, what I call power, what I call presence, what I call knowledge, what I call wisdom, is always active and present whether I'm aware of it or not. So I can just make assumptions rather than trying to get something I already have. And that's one of my, quit praying for what you already have. Use your prayer time to acknowledge your oneness with your source. So, on with the reading. You need not have some mystical experience. You need not feel any unusual physical sensation. You need not even be aware of how it is happening. You need only to relax, to let go, and to be assured that it is being done. If you are facing a healing challenge of any kind, you can be sure God's healing power will see you through. Indeed, it is happening at this instant. God is healing you now. Whether you are in your home, or hospital, or office, or bus, or plane, or car, God's great love is here, healing you now. Whether you have a lot of spiritual understanding, or a little. Whether you are old or young, whether you have a great deal of faith or a little, you can grasp these few words. God is healing me now. Can we say that together? God is healing me now. They can bring into a realization that will lead you into total healing, total rebirth, and total change of your life experience for good. Has anybody here ever recovered from a cold? Exactly. So you know it's possible. Healing is possible. We don't always know when. And I have had instantaneous healings of just colds. And I've had some that drag on a bit, but I'm always sure it will pass. It came to pass. It didn't come to stay. And so to pay attention to that with any experience you do not care for. God is healing me now in mind, in body, and spirit. The change may come instantly. If you're going through medical tests or under the care of a physician, you can silently know, God is healing me now. God can and does work through anyone or anything in an infinite variety of ways and means to help and bless and heal its children. You need not question or reason or seek out the ways. God will open them up to you at the right time and appropriate moment. For God is already at work within every detail of your life, bringing about healing in every aspect. If your heart is downcast about yourself or a loved one, know that God is healing you. When? Thank you. That God is healing your dear one. When? Now. Decree and affirm this consistently and faithfully, and you will be placing yourself in a receptive attitude, readying yourself to receive. If you are plagued by doubts and fears, and if negative thoughts fill your mind, use the words, God is healing me now, as a rudder to keep your mind turned in the direction of God's presence and power. Remember, the truth is that God is healing us now. If you need to speak these words for hours, or days, or weeks, or perhaps longer, in order to let go of limited and negative habits of thinking, the results will be worth every effort. All the way will be a healing way. I love that. All the way of my journey will be a healing way. You may have to stretch your muscles of faith more than you thought you could, but as you do so, knowing that God is healing you now, you will be placing yourself in the position of receiving the greatest blessing of your life. If you become discouraged, thinking that the healing will never come, if you see little sign of progress, quietly realize that God's continuous healing power is at work beyond your ability to judge. Do not reason or compare or try to figure it all out. Instead, deliberately trust that in every moment and in every detail, God is here, guiding, helping, seeing you through to total healing. That's why we say God is presence rather than present. To continue to repeat these words, God is healing me now, is to fill the mind and heart and body temple, its cells and atoms, so full of this awareness that there is no room left for fear or doubt. Further persistence in repeating the words, God is healing me now, is to become so fully saturated with this truth that it begins to overflow your mind and body and to fill the atmosphere around you. The very air you breathe, your environment, will begin to vibrate with the power of the thought, God is healing me now. Very good. Healing will fill the air. Healing will be released within every cell of your body, into every condition in your life, and into the lives of those around you. Knowing that it is God that dwells within you, does the work. You can leave the outworking to God, regardless of whether the healing is for mind, or body, or relationships, or any of your life's affairs. God knows the ways and means to bring the right results, because things are in the process of being healed. You will gladly cooperate and accept the divine guidance. Your prayers will have a new spirit of release within them as you inwardly become more aware that in every moment, in every circumstance, in every situation, in every development, in every outworking, God is healing, healing, healing. Ah, fooled you. I have seen the healing of all kinds of conditions, for every healing in my own life or in the lives of others. I have seen just as many ways these healings have come, the ways of answered prayer, for healing are as infinite as God is infinite. Healings have occurred in every kind of environment, through silent prayer or audible, through strong decrees and gentle, sometimes in church services and sometimes in hospitals, regardless of the religious affiliation or lack of it, the manner of prayer. The ways of God and its healing power transcend the concept of man. There is no limit to the healing power of God. No matter what any person may say of the impossibilities of healing, all things are possible with God, to acknowledge with praise and thanksgiving. God is very good, is to let the healing begin its flow. Now is the time to believe for yourself. So, at the sound of the tone, the time will be now. And now it's now. And now it's now. And now it's now. But when now? I guarantee anything that has ever taken place happened now. And anything that ever will take place will happen now. It's these special moments, though. We do have special moments, the ones that really stand out from the everyday mundane. If we paid more attention to the everyday mundane, we'd have more special moments. But I myself have... That was blocking me there. I knew you couldn't see me behind that. So, I have had many a healing. I have needed many of the healing, clearly. That's why I've had them. And it's why I believe in the possibility of healing. So many instances have taken place in my life that I just went in hoping for some change, that something would be better than the way that it was. And then there have been other instances where I didn't even know I needed one, and I had one. I was like, oh, didn't know I needed that. I wasn't paying attention. When I came into Unity, I got so many promises from my teachers and my ministers, and I took every class I could get in Unity because all the teachers had different styles and different ways of teaching. With one teacher, I never even had to open the book. With another one, I opened the book and listened to her scream at me. It wasn't just me, it was the whole room. Reverend Mary Alice Brown. Reverend Mary Alice, who remembers Mary Alice Brown? She'd start her class with, I am alive, alert, awake, joyous, and enthusiastic about life. My body knows it, and my body shows it. Say it! You think, why is she so mad at me? And I mean, it was really like going back to Gomer Pyle days. I am alive, alert, awake, joyous, and enthusiastic about life. My body knows it, my body shows it. Say it. You'd say it, but it wouldn't be good enough. Let's try it. I am alive, alert, awake, joyous, and enthusiastic about life. My body knows it, and my body shows it. See, that's kind of lame. Let's try it again. I am alive, alert, awake, joyous, and enthusiastic about life. My body knows it, and my body shows it. That's good, but 3 times is a charm. Let's say it again. I am alive, alert, awake, joyous, and enthusiastic about life. My body knows it, and my body shows it. Exactly. And finally, it took months for me to understand. Mary Alice wasn't angry. She was passionate. And she wanted everybody else to have the healings that she had had. She knew that she wasn't special when she had had her healings. She was God's beloved child. And if she could heal, everybody could heal. And that's how I've always seen it, is if I can heal, everybody can heal. And it sometimes irks me when somebody says, oh, there's no way for me. It's like, no, it's just that you refuse to give in to the Spirit of God. You still want your nasty opinions and thoughts. You still want your complaints, and you still want your sickness, all the while being well. You cannot have lack and abundance at the same time. It's not possible. What's lovely is we have all that God is, all of the time. There is never a time we do not have all the good that God is and all the good that I am. However, I can pretend I don't. When I get together with you and I complain about my body, or I complain about, oh, who knows what or who, but I'm pretending that God is absence rather than presence. Every time I say, oh God, please fix this, I'm actually saying God is absent and I do not have my good. Because I was taught early on in Unity, we do not beg. Why would you beg to a source that has already given you all that you could ever want? Every time we get together and complain about the system, every time we get together, or spend time alone in the car, I said, have you ever had an argument with somebody in the car and nobody else is in the car? Or your apartment, there's nobody else there. You're home alone, and yet it's filled with people that you're arguing with, that you're telling them how they have mistreated you or mistreated someone. I've learned a technique for that. I interrupt it. And I ask myself, Shawn, do you want to be right about this? Do you really want to be right about being wronged? Is that what you want in this moment? If this is the only moment I will ever have, do I really want to spend it upset, out of alignment? Is that what you want? Is that what he says? Yeah. I think you misunderstood the question. It's how do we begin to say yes to the good that God is? And I believe God is good. I absolutely believe that. I don't believe God is a person. I don't believe God behaves well. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the nature of God. I've been writing on my history of God and looking at where God started for me. God started as a big threat. I was threatened with God. I was threatened with Santa Claus, Easter Bunny. You know, I was threatened that I would not be given good if I weren't good. A little nasty, isn't it? To put and then one day I found out about certain entities. I won't name them here in case I don't want to disillusion anyone. But I was so glad to find out certain things that I've been threatened with didn't even exist. As a child, I was glad to know the truth, because then I had somewhere to go within myself rather than relying on misinformed adults for my information. And so I was so glad because it brought out my spiritual independence at a very, very early age. And then we started going to a fundamentalist church. My mother's last husband, there were a few of those, and we went to a fundamentalist church. But I'll tell you, in that church, I got beyond now I lay me down to sleep. It was a precious gift that church gave me. And again, it taught me about church community. And it taught me that I'm not alone, that I do things. And it taught me about the joy of the Lord, even if the message still would send me to hell. And I had to go, I left there in my early teen years, actually. And I didn't go much of anywhere for many years. But I prayed. I still prayed to God rather than from a consciousness of God. I didn't learn about that till I came to Unity, about praying from a consciousness of God. I didn't know until I came to Unity that I am God being me. And I didn't know much about right now. I knew about worrying for the future and for the past. But I didn't know that right here, right now, I have everything I need, no matter what is happening. And I didn't know that I could just breathe and find peace immediately. To just do the speedy meditation. And suddenly peace would envelop my whole being. Suddenly I may not have all the answers consciously, but in that time I could know that I have the answers, whether I could voice them or not. In that time of that I could gather my assurance once again that all that I could possibly need is within me now, in order to know my source, to know my supply, and to know what is not my source, to know what is not my supply. In that moment. It's when I'm trying to skip 3 moments ahead. I forget all about God. I forget all about source. I forget about principle. You know, when I'm not even debating hitting post with my wisdom. How many of you have had to go back and delete things you posted because you just knew you were wrong when you posted it? It did not put your authenticity out into the world. I think some of you need to go back and look at some of your posts. I can't believe I am the only one in this room that has needed to go back and hit delete. Oh, thank you. Now 2 of us, this gentleman and I. 3. Okay, do I get 3? I have 4 and 5. Okay, there we go. You know, because my political thoughts are almost always inappropriate. They are, because they claim separation rather than oneness. My opinions about another human being are very nearly always inauthentic, inappropriate, and not in the moment. And they do not reflect this beautiful God being you see standing before you. This magnificence. Thank you. There you go. Wasn't even trying for that, see? And I don't know if your opinion is correct or not, but I'll take it. In this moment, it doesn't matter whether I love God or like God or care about God, because you see, in this moment, God is. Now, God is the word I use for the is, but God is. And because God is, I am. All those letters are in caps. God is, I am right now. God is, I am right now. And you see, there is no other time. There is no other place. And so always, 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 God is, I am. This is what I encourage each of us to do as we sit here, when we leave here, when we go to lunch, as we speak to our friends. The underlying thought is God is, I am. God is, I am. Because you see, in your isness and in your I amness, you'll be aware of all the special moments. You will be aware of all the good present now and all the good that could never be absent. You don't have to like everything to know this is somehow good. Spirit, show it to me. Because God is, I am. Because God is, I am. It can be itchy. It can be uncomfortable. I have been wildly uncomfortable in the years as I embrace my understanding of God more than ever. It's difficult to not have a hell. It's difficult not to have sin. It's difficult to know that there is no one or thing that is going to punish me if I fall short of the ideal, that the punishment came in the falling short. It was not, the punishment wasn't offered, and the punishment was confusion. And oh, it's difficult when I choose to stay confused. When I think my things are more important than my I amness. Even when I think my relationship is more important than my I amness. When my desire to help another in a way that they don't want to be helped is more important than my I amness. When I think doing this is more important than my I amness, and I love doing this. This is fun. This is a privilege. But you see, I just don't know. I don't know a definite answer to anything. I know concepts. I know my understanding. I know my heart's desire. I'm very clear on my heart's desire. My heart's desire is to know God better than ever before. But in my discomfort comes in knowing I don't know exactly what God is. It's too big to define. It's too big to comprehend. I can't describe it, and believe me, I've tried. It's like if I asked you, what is love? No one can give me a satisfying answer. You can give me Fillmore's definition. You can give me the biblical definition. You can tell me what you feel, but it's always more than that. If I ask you, what is life? Well, it's certainly more than this body. If I ask you, what is presence? I know what presence feels like, but I can't define it because it's invisible. I can't color it in because it's invisible. I've never seen it, but I've always known it. And I am assured, without a doubt, that I am good and cannot not be good. And I am assured that you are good and cannot not be good. But I must enter into the moment to see it. I must enter into the moment to experience it. I must be still and know, so that if I'm in the room with a divine being and it seems that they have forgotten, I can be accountable for remembering for them. I've had friends who have remembered that I am good when I have forgotten. And I have been a friend to some by remembering, not everybody, because some people I want to keep thinking they're not so good, but it can't be true. Thank goodness. And that's what I'm assured of. Even the one I think is the worst is good in God. We're not talking about behaviors. We have horrible behaviors. Oh my goodness. We forget we're rude, we're impolite, we're inconsiderate, we're narcissistic. But outside of that, we're lovely. But will you take the responsibility today to remember some who forget? To gently, and perhaps silently, remember for those who forget. You will have to start with, because God is, I am. And because God is, you are. And because God is, you are. Because God is, you are. Because God is, you are. Because God is, I am. I'm going to read you one last thing from my favorite book. It's called The Holy Spirit's Interpretation of the New Testament. It comes from the book of Luke, chapter 14, verses 1 through 6. And it says, now is a very important time. For now is the only time that you can take any action that will make any difference. In spite of its tendency to plan, even the ego understands the truth of the moment now. And so I'd like to remind us all once again that at the sound of the tone, the time will be now. Thank you.